At 2 in the morning, a rural gas station has a specific sensory baseline. There's the continuous buzzing of old fluorescent lights, then the sudden, sharp chime of the front door. The contrast between total isolation and instant intrusion is immediate. David was a college student working the graveyard shift at a remote convenience store along an isolated stretch of Route 66. It was the kind of place where help was miles away, leaving him entirely alone for 8 hours a night. On a humid night in July, a man walked in wearing a heavy winter coat. It immediately broke the logic of the space. The man didn't browse the shelves. He walked straight to the back coolers, ignoring the products, and stood close to the glass, quietly whispering to his own reflection. Without buying anything, the man pivoted, walked directly into the single-stall employee bathroom, and locked the door behind him. He stayed in there for 30 minutes. David finally grabbed the master key to check on him. He swung the heavy door open. The bathroom was completely empty. Confused, David turned back toward the main counter. He tried the knob on the back office door, which he always left propped open. It was now locked from the inside. This floor plan shows the architectural vulnerability of the station. The man hadn't vanished. He had used a shared plumbing access panel behind the toilet to crawl directly into the secured office. He was now sitting inside, with full access to the store's security monitors. David ran out the front door and called the police from the parking lot. When officers arrived, they found the back office empty and the rear exterior door propped open, leading out into the surrounding woods. The walls designed to keep external threats out had created a sealed container, locking the employee inside with an observer. For a driver, stopping for gas requires breaking the protective seal of a locked car. It forces you to stand out in the open, tied by a hose to a stationary pump. A young woman was driving down an unlit Ohio backroad at 1 a.m. Her fuel light came on, giving her no choice but to pull into the only station around. She swiped her card at the pump, but the reader displayed an error. She tried again, standing motionless under the canopy, waiting for the system to process. That's when she noticed a beat-up sedan parked at the far edge of the lot. Its engine was off, and the headlights were dark. The driver's side window was rolled completely down. The man inside wasn't looking at his phone or the store. He was sitting perfectly still, staring directly at her. The man's car door opened. He stepped onto the pavement, gripping a long metal tire iron, and started walking toward the pumps. Panic causes fine motor skills to degrade rapidly. She grabbed the pump handle to return it, fumbled her keys, and dropped them onto the concrete as the man closed the distance. She scrambled into the driver's seat, jammed the key into the ignition, and threw the car into drive. Right as the engine turned over, a heavy hand slammed against her passenger side window. She accelerated out of the lot, pushing the car well over the speed limit. She kept her eyes locked on the road ahead, actively refusing to look in the rearview mirror. The station itself offered no protection. Survival came down to the exact number of seconds it took to re-establish the barrier of a locked vehicle. A gas station is essentially a physical data collection point. It's a bottleneck where anyone can watch a vehicle stop, assess the driver, and see which direction they leave. Late one night at a UK highway rest stop, a man was paying for coffee when he accidentally bumped shoulders with a gaunt stranger in a dark hoodie. The stranger didn't apologize or acknowledge the contact. He just followed the man out the doors, standing on the curb, staring intently at the man's license plate as he drove away. 20 minutes later, the man exited the highway into his suburban neighborhood. In his rearview mirror, a pair of misaligned headlights merged closely behind him. This diagram demonstrates the standard test for an active tail. You make 4 consecutive right turns. In a normal residential grid, this creates a complete circle, bringing you back to where you started. The misaligned headlights completed the loop. The driver was actively hunting. Panicking, the man turned down a street he thought would lead to the main road, but it ended in a tight cul-de-sac. He hit the brakes. The tailing car pulled across the entrance, blocking the only way out. The driver's door opened. The gaunt man from the rest stop stood in the pouring rain, staring at the house at the end of the cul-de-sac. He slowly raised his arm, pointing a single finger directly at the front door. The man locked his doors, called the police, and waited. The car eventually sped off, but his sense of safety at home was completely ruined. Within 3 weeks, he broke his lease and moved to a new city. The gas station functions as a bridge, giving a predator the opportunity to track a stranger from a public pump to their front door.